Well, this week, impeachment articles are going to be delivered from the House to the Senate for what purpose? I still don't even know, because Donald Trump is not the president anymore. There is one purpose to impeachment. There is one purpose and only one purpose to impeachment, and that is to remove the sitting president from office. Donald Trump, on Inauguration Day, got on his helicopter, went and made a speech, got on Air Force One, flew to Florida, and is now playing golf. There was a completely peaceful transfer of power. Donald Trump is no longer the president. Impeachment does not apply to private citizens. It only applies to people actually holding the office. But the Democrats never let a silly thing like the Constitution stop them from doing something before. Why would they let it now? Now listen, I am actually not really concerned about the impeachment trial moving forward. I'm not concerned for three different reasons. Number one, it's going to prove that Joe Biden and the Democrats are just full of it when they're talking about unity. 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 We will be the ones to bring people together. Unity! Of course they don't want unity. If they wanted unity, what Joe Biden would have done weeks ago is to call Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and say, cut this nonsense out. Stop this immediately. He didn't do that because he doesn't really want to unify 74 million people that didn't vote for him with the rest of the country. He doesn't care about unity at all, because what this trial is going to do is it's going to piss off everyone who voted for Donald Trump, and frankly, some people that didn't, who are now having regrets about voting for Biden. It's just going to piss all of them off and demonstrate that the leader of the country, the Senate Majority Leader, the Speaker of the House, have no interest at all with working with the 74 million people that voted for Donald Trump. That's number one thing that it's going to accomplish. Number two, and I'm going to look at the Republican side for a second. On the Republican side, it is going to weed out the rhinos and let us know who we can trust and who we can't. Because frankly, any Republican that votes to convict Donald Trump on these stupid, bogus charges in a trial that shouldn't even be happening anyway because he's not in office anymore, they have shown us their true colors. Just like Liz Cheney in the House, who is not only probably going to lose her seat in 2 years, she's already been censured by the Republicans in the state of where is she? Wyoming. I wanted to say Wisconsin. It is Wyoming. But she's already been censured in her home state. And she's already almost on the verge of losing her leadership position in the Republican Party in the House. She's on the verge of losing all of it for voting for impeachment in the first place. Do you think it's going to be any different with the Republicans in the Senate? I don't. They're going to show us their true colors. And the third reason I'm not actually that worried about it is that it's going to distract the Democrats from doing much crazier stuff. Listen. An impeachment trial is about removing a sitting president from office. If the Democrats want to focus their energy and attention on having this stupid sham impeachment trial rather than doing things that are actually going to help improve the lives of real Americans, they are going to not only show their true colors to all of us who already know that they're full of it, they're going to show their true colors to people on their own side who are like, why are you wasting time with this? And it's also going to distract them from focusing on things that are far crazier and far more impactful than a stupid impeachment trial for a president that's already out of office. And in addition, now it looks like the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is not even going to preside over the thing to begin with, which is why we have to start to question, is this even an impeachment trial? An impeachment trial requires the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. If you take the Chief Justice out of the equation, do we even have an impeachment trial? Well, that is what Rand Paul is arguing in this op-ed in The Hill that came out today. Boycott, sham, impeachment. And so we're going to take a look at this article, and I'm going to talk to you about what I think it means. But before we get into that, just a quick reminder, folks, if you enjoy the content that I put out, I try to do daily content around news, politics, culture, basically anything I find interesting, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, give it a thumbs up if I've done a really good job, or if you just want YouTube to recommend more of my content going forward, leave a comment below if you want to feed this YouTube algorithm. I greatly appreciate and value your support. All right. Let's read what Rand Paul had to say in The Hill. sometimes in Washington, the powers that be will embark on a little bit of political theater. You can always spot it, though, if you look closely enough at what's real and what's not. In the last days of the presidency of Donald Trump, the Democrats and a handful of never-Trumpers banded together to insist he be impeached again. The first impeachment of Donald Trump in 2019 was a witch hunt filled with fabricated charges, unsupported evidence, and partisan rancor disguised as legal concern. I worked against this impeachment, but I will grant it one thing. While wrong-headed, the Democrats had every right to do it, and at least pursued it as dictated and foreseen by the Constitution. Fast forward to January 2021, a national tragedy occurred when militants, agitators, and zealots were convinced and allowed to believe that January 6th could produce any result other than the certification of the electors of President Joe Biden. I actually I almost disagree with this. I don't think that most people who were there on January 6th really thought the election result was going to change. I don't think that that was the goal of most people. I think that they were standing up for Trump and they wanted to attend one last Trump rally and they wanted their voices to be heard and they wanted to remind their elected representatives that they report to them. I think that that's what January 6th was about. I don't think that it was about overturning the results for the vast majority of people there. I do believe they wanted the evidence of voter fraud to be heard and presented because to this day it hasn't really been. But, I think that did they think it was actually going to get to anything? I tend to doubt it. I stood firmly on the side of those who believe Congress should not overturn state-certified electors, that to do so might destroy the Electoral College. But did President Trump push to have Congress overturn the electors? Yes. Did some of my colleagues perform a little play for their supporters in which they claimed to be fighting for a different outcome they all knew couldn't happen? Yes. I disagree with his characterization of that. I think that what people like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley did was they demanded, they did their jobs. They objected to the electors to be able to have a chance to have a discussion on it. This is a process that has played out every single time there has been a presidential election. There's been some sort of objection. The only reason this was different is that they were actually going to get their 2-hour debate. 2-hour debate. That's all it would have been. 2-hour debate. And yet the world is falling apart. The sky is falling in the hands, in the views of the Democrats. Did the combination of an out-of-control crowd and an absolutely atrocious decisions by those in charge of our security lead to an unfortunate event on January 6th? Also yes. But to argue that any politician tells a crowd to fight to take your country back is somehow guilty of incitement is absurd. And P.S., Donald Trump told people that day that the January 6th event had already started at the Capitol before Trump's speech even ended. It started like 15-20 minutes before Trump's speech even ended. In Trump's speech, he said, "Go peacefully." These were two different incidents. This is all well documented by the New York Times of all places. If we are to blame politicians for the most violent acts of their craziest supporters, then many of my colleagues would face some pretty harsh charges themselves. I've been shot at, assaulted, and harassed by supporters of the left, including some who directly said the words of politicians moved them to violence. If you remember, Rand Paul and his wife were attacked by Black Lives Matter after leaving the White House. After the RNC, they were attacked by Black Lives Matter. They had to be escorted by the police. I was there at the ball field when a deranged Bernie Sanders supporter almost killed Steve Scalise and seriously wounded several others. At a time, Democrats were arguing that the GOP plan for healthcare was, you get sick, then they let you die. Is there any wonder an insane left-wing gunman took that rhetoric to heart and concluded, if the GOP is going to let me die, then maybe I'll just kill them first. Interestingly, though, not one Republican stepped up to blame Bernie Sanders or suggest he be impeached or held responsible for the attempted assassination of more than 20 congressmen. Funny how that works, isn't it? Rules for thee, but not for me. I certainly did not accuse Bernie Sanders of stroking the violence at the ball field. I don't think Donald Trump should be held responsible for violence any more than Bernie Sanders. I just wish the other side had an even approach to the topic. But what if his excuse that the House started and the Senate is about to take up what some will dutifully report as impeachment? Well, impeachment is a tool to remove someone from office. That's it. The Constitution specifically forbids any legal action that targets any one private individual. President Trump left office peacefully on January 20th, as the Constitution provides. Those who voted for President Biden were victorious, and the transfer of power happened as it should and must. Whatever this exercise is that the Democrats began and insist on continuing, it's not impeachment. I'm going to read that one again. That's really important. Whatever this exercise is that the Democrats began and insist on continuing, it's not impeachment. How do we know that for sure? Look closely. The Constitution says two things about impeachment. It is a tool to remove the office holder, and it must be presided over by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Neither one of those things will happen. President Trump is gone, and Justice John Roberts, properly noticing the absence of an official office holder being impeached, is declining to preside. The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is like, what are you guys doing? This isn't even impeachment. I'm not going. That settles it for me. If Justice Roberts is not presiding over this, then it is not impeachment. This charade will be nothing more than bitter partisanship and political theater. I am more than willing to work with Democrats to find common ground on protecting civil liberties or ending some of our many foreign military interventions, but no unity or common ground will be found while Democrats continue to fight over the last election. This so-called impeachment is a farce and should be dismissed before it is even allowed to begin. So it sounds like Rand Paul has had enough. He's not playing into this game any longer, and I frankly think that most of the Republicans in the Senate would be well advised to do the same. Now, will they do it? Well, Mitch McConnell has already threatened Donald Trump to convict him, and that was apparently how he got Donald Trump not to pardon Julian Assange. That's neither here nor there, but I think we're going to have to watch this little spectacle play out, but we all have to keep in mind that everything can be a blessing, guys. It really can be. I know that this looks really bad. I know that a lot of you don't want this to happen. I know a lot of you feel the way I do about it. But if it shows the world that the Democrats are more interested in continuing to fight over nonsense than to actually do the will of the American people, guess what? It could actually be a really good thing for us. It could red pill a lot of people. And I am in favor of as many red pills being handed out as possible. All right, guys, that's all I've got for this video. I'll see you soon.